Okay, now, Steve, moving on. Everyone loves a good top 40 list. They're catchy, easy reading or listening, and usually make a good guilty pleasure debate over who made the cut.
They're link bait.
Right? But outside of Time Magazine's annual 100 Most Influential People list, we don't often see top lists of people from, various jobs or careers where we're ranking them based purely on their skill. So recently, the women of the tech industry almost got theirs. Almost. Complex Magazine recently published what was supposed to be the list of the 40 hottest women in tech, taking hottest to mean the most capable, intelligent women who are kicking ass and taking names at their jobs in a field largely dominated by men. The only problem was the list ended up being another ogling list edited from its original version. The original list and article was written by Complex writer Luke Winkie, which is a very unfortunate last name.
I didn't even realize that till now.
Luke Winkie, who is supposedly not thrilled with the assignment, but what writer can refuse a $500 paycheck?
Luke Winkie.
So he figured he'd do the ladies a solid and make his list about brains rather than beauty, which is what this was supposed to be. But when we take a look at what it was, it's basically a 40 image slideshow of just really good looking women. So this obviously received a lot of controversy. The backlash from several of the women on the list went after the writer on Twitter. Many were obviously insulted. So we're here to discuss, I guess, what happened and what is anything really wrong here.
Now, you just used the phrase obviously insulted.
Right.
What does that mean to you then?
Well, when you ask yourself what's wrong with this, what I go to is the article shows 40 beautiful women and is focused purely on their looks. So that welcomes the theory that they were brought into the tech industry to their specific job with open arms, because what man is going to turn down a beautiful lady? That's the theory behind it, I think. It's demeaning their capabilities by saying, hey, these are the 40 hottest women working in the tech industry, but maybe they're only in the tech industry because of their looks. That's, I think, the key. It's not doing anything for these women's credibility when their job or their career, oh, you know what, they probably wouldn't have that gig if they didn't look this good. If you were a beautiful woman, Steve, and maybe someday you will be, and you went online and you saw this list, and it's like, oh, I'm only on this list because I happen to be good looking? What about, what I'm doing in this industry? Obviously, it doesn't get the attention. So that's what I think is wrong with this and why so many of these women were insulted.
Now, as you mentioned, a lot of the people that were on the list took offense to it. One of them responded on Twitter that says, the photo of me in your list is a copyrighted picture. Please remove that picture and get me off the list while you're at it.
There you go.
A lot of sort of comments like that. I agree with the sentiment, but I have a thought of, as you mentioned off the top, the technology industry as it is right now is for the most part a boys' club. Right. Just like a large part of the sports community, the sports community is as well. But it's getting to be not so, which is great,
Yes.
But I think it's even more so in the tech industry. And part of me thinks as well, though, and this is tricky to explain because, it is a controversial topic.
Right.
But I think a lot of these women that were on the list that are attractive women in many ways broke the mold of what a tech journalist or a woman in tech was perceived to be. I think in many ways they had to work even harder at breaking into the industry because there was perhaps this stereotype that, because they were attractive, they had no place in the industry, and that they broke a lot of boundaries and had to shatter a lot of glass walls or glass ceilings in order to get to the position they are today. It's very tricky to me. But at the same time, I realize that whole point then negates the people that are not in the same class as they are, for example. So I'm very conflicted.
Yeah. See, I mean, again, there's kind of a conflict here where I believe this Winky guy was saying that he initially wanted this to be about their skill,
Right.
but Complex Magazine kind of turned it into what it became.
And
That's
that's
who
a
do you
big
blame, right? Like, is anyone to blame? Like the fact that it was 40 images of these women with really nothing else. Like if they had a write up about this person,
well, they did, I believe, have a write up. Did they not?
well, if I think it was a short bio. I don't think it was much. It wasn't really talking about their accomplishments in the industry. And I think that's why it became insulting to some of these women, is because the spotlight wasn't in the right place. It is very tricky though, because would all women find this insulting? Maybe there's a handful of women in this list that thought it was a compliment that they were on this list. I don't know. If we, I don't know. Yeah.
And because we see these lists all the time, I think, in the top 40 hottest women in sports, or the, whatever Maxim does their Hot 100 list or whatever.
Yeah.
And the response for a lot of the women on those lists are, I'm flattered. And is the fact that perhaps the tech industry is perceived to be more intellectual, is that the reason why there's so much backlash?
That's a good point, perhaps. Yeah.
It also, talking about this brings back the Seinfeld quote where he says, "Should we be talking about this?"